Any email I get is synchronicity. Don't mind the laundry. We're in England. We are day 2, week 5 of the Artist's Way. You're almost halfway. After last week with my husband's birthday / my sister visiting, I'm still feeling the residual stress, but I'm also not trying to stress. And it's literally day 2 and I've completed all the exercises. But let's talk about what this week is. It's recovering a sense of possibility. And I really don't think last week, which was, to remind everybody, recovering a sense of integrity. I teach English and it's just funny the way integrity is said and versus the way it's spelled. I know my student is going to hate that word. But maybe I just have integrity already. Let's just say that. So last week wasn't so integral to my integrity. This is about possibilities. Julia talks about limits. And again, she uses the word God, but we're not using God as God because I don't believe in God, frankly. But we believe in the acronym of whatever the fuck she said the acronym was. The goodness of something. Hold on. I'll put on the screen what you should be thinking when I'm saying this word. It essentially is saying you accept the creativity that you think you deserve. If you think of it as like a bank account, we only withdraw as much as we need or we think we need, where there actually is a limitless supply that everybody has equal access to. So that's sort of about clearing up the guilt that we're taking time to do something creatively. His creativity, in Julia's definition, is tied to spirituality. So that's sort of the connection she's making. And she says God has lots of money. God has lots of movie ideas, novel ideas, poems, songs, painting, acting jobs. God has a supply of loves, friends, houses that all are available to us. There is more. There is lots of supplies. I guess is the point. Yeah, I do feel like that sort of resonated for me. And the whole takeaway was you can't put your creativity in human hands, which is a bit hard one to wrap your head around. At least it is for me. So it can block your good by doing that. So I'm like, whose hands? If not human hands, then I guess the spiritual hands of the universe, or God. And then she also says to experiment with the morning pages by kind of asking for questions in the evening and listening for answers in the morning, which is probably the only, I know it is because I've read this whole fucking book every week, it is the only mention of not doing morning pages exclusively in the morning. But it is canon that you don't have to do the morning pages in the morning. And I thought there was some good quotes. I don't usually read the quotes. There's quotes in the margin. That's a terrible page. But there's usually, right here, there's quotes in the margin. I don't know. You really can't, at least I can't read all of them. But there's actually 2 or 3 that stuck out to me this week. So I'll read those quotes. Next, Julia talks about finding the river. So we've been evacuating our consciousness now for 4 weeks. She may be alluding to the fact that we're treating ourselves and others consciously kinder, or unconsciously kinder. That's good. And do I agree? I think a little bit, yeah. We're feeling less desperate, less harsh on ourselves and with others. And I believe that to be true. If I read that statement and I was like, yeah, is that true? Looking back the last 4 weeks, I would say yeah. Then we have this first quote by Margaret Young. I'm not actually sure who that is. Should we Google her? She's a singer and a comedian. Wait, is this really her? Because she looks kind of old. She died in 1969. This cannot be her. There must be a different Margaret Young. Well, we don't know. There's just Margaret Young. So, Margaret, come out. Often people attempt to live their lives backwards. They try to have more things or more money in order to do more of what they want so they will be happier. The way it actually works is the reverse. You must first be with who you really are, then do what you need to do in order to have what you want. Honestly, that is the most logical way I've ever read someone concisely describe life. Maybe this is Margaret Young from 19 80 or 1891, because that's deep. And it's true. Like, a lot of people make more money to have more time to do their hobbies and find out what they really want to do, where in actuality, we should be doing that first and then making money to make that happen, or have that happen to make it money. Whatever, you know what I mean. Margaret said it best. And then Julia talks about the virtue trap, which is sort of the healing time that artists need alone. And then if we're not doing that time, and that's sort of a way we could start taking it out on people. She says it really beautifully here. What's the use? Replaces our feelings of joy and satisfaction. We may go through the actions of continuing our life. We may even continue to produce creatively, but we are leeching blood from ourselves, vampiring our souls. In short, we are the treadmill of virtuous production, and we are caught. So this is sort of like, she uses the example of like, instead of a guy buying, I don't know, something for his hobby, he ends up like buying a couch for the house, or like, you know, your son has soccer practice the same time you have a pottery class, so you don't fully invest in, you know, making that appointment every week. Like, it could just manifest in a lot of ways of people interrupting you in your creative process. But that's ultimately a bad thing, because it's like, in a way, I do this a lot. It makes sense logically in your head. It's so funny because like last week did not relate to me at all, and this week I'm like, oh. But yeah, like one of my favorite ways to procrastinate is by doing something useful. So like, if I'm not writing, I would clean the house, or like deep clean the closet, or reorganize something, because that's a productive sort of procrastination in my head. Like, at least I'm doing something else that needs to be done instead of doing the thing I need to do. So, but does it need to be done right now? Probably not. So many recovering creatives sabotage themselves most frequently by making nice. Yeah, essentially that. And you do get this false sense of like being good, feeling superior, and she calls this sort of faux spirituality the virtue trap, or being afraid to be selfish, we lose ourselves, is what she says. And then there's this other quote by Leslie M. McIntyre. Let's see who she is. Leslie sounds like an old name, so maybe she is taking quotes from people who have left us in this mess. Okay, she's a woman. Nobody objects to a woman being a good writer or a sculptor or a genealogist if at the same time she manages to be a good wife, good mother, good looking, good tempered, well groomed, and unaggressive. Period, queen. Like, and we have a virtue trap quiz. Is talking about my biggest lack in life, the greatest joy in my life, my largest time commitment is, and then today or this week was a lot about lists and like listing things, 10 things, right? So she says, first, list 10 things that you love and would love to do but are not allowed, because it's sort of, she believes this sort of like the psychology aspect of like, if you think you can't do something, those things actually speak to the things you really want to do. So listing 10 of those things, and listing 20 wishes. So we've got a wish list. And that is sort of a speed writing exercise of listing 20 things you wish, you know, just put it down and see what happens. One of them I did already do all these exercises, and one wish was I wish Game of Thrones ended differently. So it does not need to be deep. Some are deep, but yeah, some are also silly. And then a lot more lists of the reasons I can't believe in a fully supportive God. List 5 grievances. If I was 20 and had money, list 5 adventures. If I was 65 and had money, list 5 postponed pleasures. 10 ways I am mean to myself. Again, only 10. 10 items I would own that I don't. My favorite creative block, mine's TV. Listicles, which is really easy and fun, I would say, to write. I quite like the listing speed writing stuff as opposed to like the write the letter to yourself or whatever. I hate those stuff. And then she also says start a photo file, aka a Pinterest. A lot of this can be modernized. But yeah, like start collecting imagery if it's like taking photos of it or collecting items, or cutting them out of magazines. Like we have magazines these days. This again was written in like the 90s, guys. So let's suspend disbelief and do it the modern way. I think I might create a Pinterest board because like some of these, like the listing, the things you would do at 65 and had money. She says to collect images of this. So collecting images, posting in a Pinterest. Yeah. And I pretty quickly did everything, all the 10 exercises this week already. So quite happy. And yeah, there's of course the artist's date this week. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Part of me wants to do some oil painting because I have been looking at this like unfinished painting and thus is oil, right? But also now that I learned about underpainting, which is like the first layer that you paint the canvas and then you let it dry and then you paint on top of it. So I underpainted my first painting, but I didn't let it dry. So that was my mistake. Thank you for that one person on TikTok who replied to me because I commented on her oil painting. I want oil painting talk now, so that's a whole thing. We shall see. Day 3 of the Artist Way. I'm doing a little clip on my vlog right now, and I'm also talking to my sister on FaceTime, and I'm also dog watching. Oh, Fred here.
You look so British.
Are you British, babe? Oh
I feel
my
like
god. Welcome to week 5, day 7. I think a lot of my day 6s were actually day 7s because this is the last day. This week has been a lot of ups and downs, shall we say. 2-3 days ago, just got the worst food poisoning I've had in recent memory, and I usually don't even get food poisoning, so have a very strong iron stomach. I feel like you have to with like the kind of stuff I'm always trying. But yeah, something, and I think it's myself, honestly, my own cooking, which makes it even worse. But I did this like leftover frittata. I even have the footage, which I'm going to delete because just the thought of it makes me sick now, which was ironically the best frittata I made, one of my best. I had my frittata, and so did Liam. And this was on Sunday, and yeah, Sunday evening, I felt so horrible. I felt it first, then it was Liam, then a whole night of vomiting and throwing up, and which is kind of the same thing, vomiting, throwing up. I feel like it's vomiting though, because vomiting feels more violent, and this was violent. You're like, why is this in the vlog? All this to say, I haven't been doing my daily writings, obviously. Let's see how well we did. I mean, you're gonna have weeks that you're sick. And the thing about it is like, it wasn't just vomiting and throwing up. It was just like body aches, like you're out of it, you have no energy. So I did some writing today because I was feeling better, but I didn't do any yesterday. And the day before that, I did write a lot actually, quite a lot. I drafted this article, hopefully for the business of the internet, kind of on, I want all my friends to be influencers, and discussing. Artist date today, this week. I first of all, today I'm feeling better. Thank you for the worry. We went up, we watered the plants, and Liam didn't have it as bad as me, probably because he doesn't eat as much as I do. I feel like I have bursts of energy, and then my energy dwindles very quickly. So I am going through a dwindling after I had a bit of a push. I haven't worked on my oil painting, and I didn't do an artist date per se. And I didn't even like do my volunteering this week because I felt so awful. So yeah, it's just been sort of a shitty end. I'm just surviving at this moment, honestly. Like, I'm about to come up to week 6. It's about to officially be the halfway mark. And to be honest, it's felt long. Like, it can end here, but like, it doesn't feel like it's ready to end in a weird way. Like, 6 weeks is a long time. It's been a long 6 weeks, but I don't think I've had this transformation or anything. And maybe another 6 weeks, that's what I would feel. But yeah, when you hear the like label of 12 weeks, it seems like a long time. But because it is, yes. But I think it takes a long time for things to happen. And it's nice to do this during the spring, like going up to the garden, seeing like the buds and seeing growth and change. Yeah, it's just really, really inspiring, I think. If you're gonna do this in the spring. Right now it's March, and yeah, I really feel like you feel like the growth. You see the growth. I was gonna do this outside, but it's been terribly cold, and we did have a bit of fool's spring earlier here in the UK, which has since been gone. I've put out a lot of good content on my other platforms this week. I'm feeling good. Yeah, I think just when I have like an external video do well, I'm referring to my Samo video, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I can take a break. But when I do stuff and it doesn't do good, I mean, I'm just like constantly grinding. So it's nice to have that feeling, and nice to feel I can like, oh, like while I'm sick, I can at the very least know that I've done well this week in terms of social media growth. And yeah, it was also interesting to have an inspiration burst of like an article to write, because I don't feel like I've been really writing a lot with my morning pages. I feel like I've been sort of skating by and doing the bare minimum, but I also think maybe my creativity is coming out in other ways. That's pretty much it. We start week 6 tomorrow. I'm just gonna keep this short, and I'll see you in week 6. My husband says to make sure you subscribe. He says if I say this fact, like 90% of you aren't subscribed, you'll subscribe. So I don't believe that's true, because if I hear that, then I would just think it's like a hard sell. He's like, oh, it's a reminder that they actually don't subscribe, and he's more of a on the tube than I am. So let me know, which prompt do you respond to? I've said both now.